Psalm 55, written by David at a very difficult time in his life where he was suffering from a personal betrayal. And so he writes in different movements here in this psalm. As I read this, it's about 23 verses. It's one of the longer ones. But I want you to listen for the different movements because he shifts who he's talking about. And if we're not careful to look for that, then we'll think he's saying something negative about God, not realizing he's changed objects about who he's talking about. So, Psalm 55. Give ear to my prayer, O God, and do not hide yourself from my supplication. Give heed to me and answer me. I am restless in my complaint and am surely distracted. Because of the violence of the enemy, because of the pressure of the wicked, for they bring down trouble upon me, and in anger they bear a grudge against me. My heart is in anguish within me, and the terrors of death have fallen upon me. Fear and trembling come upon me, and horror has overwhelmed me. I said, Oh that I had wings like a dove, that I would fly away and be at rest. Behold, I would wander far away. I would lodge in the wilderness. I would hasten to my place of refuge from the stormy wind and the tempest. Confuse, O Lord, divide their tongues, for I have seen violence and strife in the city. Day and night they go around her, upon her walls, and iniquity and mischief are in her midst. Destruction is in her midst. Oppression and deceit do not depart from her streets. For it is not an enemy who reproaches me, then I could bear it. Nor is it one who hates me, who has exalted himself against me, then I could hide myself from him. But it is you, a man, my equal, my companion, my familiar friend, who had sweet fellowship together, walked in the house of God in the throng. Let death come deceitfully upon them. Let them go down alive to Sheol. For evil is in their dwelling in their midst. As for me, I shall call upon God, and Yahweh will save me. Evening and morning and at noon I will complain and murmur, and he will hear my voice. He will redeem my soul in peace from the battle which is against me. For they are many who strive with me, and God will hear and answer them, even the one who sits enthroned from of old, with whom there is no change, and who do not fear God. He has put forth his hands against those who were at peace with him. He has violated his covenant. His speech was smoother than butter, but his heart was war. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. Cast your burden upon Yahweh, and he will sustain you. He will never allow the righteous to be shaken. But you, O God, will bring them down to the pit of destruction. Men of bloodshed and deceit will not live out half their days, but I will trust in you. So, you can tell that this is quite the emotional situation that would lead to a song like this being written. And as is typical with Hebrew poetry, there's, like I said, there's movements in there that David, or whoever the author may be of any particular poem, they're under no obligation to announce when the movements are happening, right? There's probably some kind of musical shift or some kind of cue for the listener, for the audience, that there is a change in direction, but we don't really have a lot until we slow down and read the thing. So basically, David's like, man, I'm used to fighting bad guys, but now I got to fight the good guys because they've turned into bad guys, and they went, before Judas Iscariot was alive, they went Judas on me. What happened, But in the middle of all of this, we see two things that relate to the gospel that I want us to take into the rest of our week. First of all, it says that God will deal with them. And David's actually praying for some rough stuff. He says, take them alive down to Sheol, down to the grave. That means, may they be buried alive. May their end come upon them so swiftly that they actually experience their own, they experience the grave, that the grave is not something that's pushed off beyond them, but that they actually have to deal with that now as a punishment for their evil. Let them be buried alive, basically. So he says that God will deal with the enemies. He can rest. He also says this in verse 22, cast your burden upon Yahweh, and he will sustain you. Okay, this is one of my favorite verses in times of trouble from the New Testament, which is 1 Peter 5:7. Cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. And so Peter seems to be referring back to Psalm 55 here. So here's what we've got. We've got a life full of trouble, and we've got a warrior God who cares for us and sustains us. Right? Now, that sounds a lot like John 16:33, doesn't it? In this world, you will have trouble. But take heart, this is Jesus talking, I have overcome the world. Now he says that right at the end of the farewell discourse. This is like the last teaching time he's going to get with his disciples before he goes to the cross. And that's pretty much how he ends it, right? Like, hey, in this world you will have trouble. Take heart. I have overcome the world. So David was living that truth out, and then Jesus came and carried that forward into the new covenant as well and said, nothing's changed, guys. I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. I am the God of David, and I'm the God of you. So you have a God who will fight for you when you can't fight for yourself, and you can just kind of carry on with your daily duties, right? Put your head down and plow through under the sovereign control of God and be defended. If it takes a while to show up and you don't feel like he shows up soon enough, you'll wind up thanking him. His timing is perfect, so stick with it. Because in this world you will have trouble, but cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you, and he proved it on the cross. He proved it by extending the gospel opportunity for us to be saved forever. He will surely save you when you need to be saved from situations in this world.